Cradily going to go for that one shield, full bullet seed farm down, leaving with a charge move to go. Leavanny very unlikely to return as we've got that rock type coverage. The opponent go for the show and go, try and catch the grass knot. All they catch is the rock tomb to the face. Welcome back to the channel. Ultra League is the absolute Wild West right now, and I for one am really enjoying it. There are so many new meta Pokemon and so many new cores. Today I'm going to be showcasing one of them new cores. Unfortunately, it's not all that accessible. I'm rocking a level 51 Best Buddy boosted Shadow Cradily with a Galarian Weezing. This core was kind of ridiculous, to be honest. I was able to go nothing but positive, including a 14 game win streak, using Lapras as my third. Today's team, like a lot of teams that I personally run, is going to be an ABB team where we're going to be using Lapras on the say switch, looking to bait out any potential fighting type, clearing the path for Cradily to sweep the back line. I see a lot of people say content creators don't like to show their losses. Despite going on a 14 game win streak, I'm not going to be showcasing just that win streak. I'm going to showcase some of my early losses, which if I'm being brutally honest, were definitely user error. So you can get a gist of the team and do even better than I did. So basically do as I say and not as I do. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we're going to be leading Galarian Weezing into the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. This matchup greatly improved this season due to having access to Sludge, which is a very good, cheap, same type attack bonus move. I go for 7 Fairy Winds and the Sludge, pivot into Lapras, looking to absorb the energy and checking for that fighting type. This of course could be a Brave Bird, but who's really YOLOing a Brave Bird at a Galarian Weezing? I doubt this opponent. Thankfully it's just a Flame Charge. The opponent continued to stay in as they're boosted and opt to fire off the boosted Flame Charge. I'm going to fire off the Sparkling Aura just before the next Incinerate registers, as these are starting to chunk my health. The opponent very unlikely to shield, as they're not going to reach another charge move. The opponent actually invests that Protect Shield, look for the Incinerate farm down, unable to get it before we Psy Wave them down. Out comes Giratina. Giratina greeted with the Ice Beam, instantly putting them below half health. I am going to wait out my clock, ensure my switch timer has cooled off before sending G-Weezy back onto the field of play. I'm going to overfarm, look to fire off the Brutal Swing before the Shadow Sneaks reach, looking to put pressure on that final Protect Shield. The opponent invests their final Protect Shield. We're not even in Shadow Sneak range, so we're going to save our final shield for Cradily. The opponent fire off the Shadow Sneak, send out Venusaur, and it looks like Cradily isn't even going to be needed in battle number 1. Sludge hits for neutral, and a lot of neutral damage at that. Despite my Weezing being deep in the red, the opponent applying such little fast move pressure, Vine Whip and Dragon Breath going to be resisted and double resisted respectively. We overfarm, fire off the Sludge, Sludge removes Venusaur from the field of play. Back out comes Giratina, the unable to double resisted Dragon Breath farm down, and Brutal Swing is going to be all she wrote. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we see Feraligatr in the lead. Sludge, of course, is the correct move to throw. However, if I go for the Sludge, the opponent will be able to cap tie me or CMP tie. I hate the word cap tie. Why do I even say that? We fire off the Brutal Swing. We're able to catch the Hydro Cannon onto Lapras. Feraligatr empties his energy and the opponent sends out Cresselia. Of course, this is a dreadful matchup for Lapras. Our Psywaves are hitting for resisted. The opponent hitting for neutral and super effective with the Grass Knot they've evidently got, as they also instant throw that. Lapras and Cresselia pace at the same speed, taking 12 turns to the Grass Knot and Sparkling Aura respectively, so I'm going to be able to get off back-to-back Sparkling Auras, putting a little dent into Cresselia's never-ending HP. Once again, the opponent doesn't opt to overfarm. I won't be taking back switch, we're just going to let Lapras go down, and this is a nice opportunity for G-Weezy to come in and load up on energy. If the opponent farm up to a future sight, I'll be honest, I'd be tempted to respect it. However, this can only be a Moonblast. They're one side cut short of that Hail Mary. This enables G-Weezy to heavily overfarm before firing off the Brutal Swing and making sure I've got residual energy for that Gator or whatever's in the back. This is where things start to go wrong. I've got so much energy. I think I should have always thrown a move there, looking to either force a shield or do big damage. I bank my energy, pivot into Cradily, and once again, this is where I'm going to start to make mistakes. You don't really want to shield a move from Giratina. However, as I'm a very annoying Rock Tomb debuffer, if I'm going to shield a move, of course the first is the way to go, as it would do the most damage, as Rock Tomb does come with 100% chance to debuff their attack. This move is easily survivable. I think this is a terrible Protect Shield deployed. I'm actually going to bank a charge move, go for the Wham Bam combo play, as I've got all the energy in the world. Brutal Swing will of course be lethal from this range. The opponent tank the damage. And once again, I don't even commit to the Sludge. Another mistake, because you're going to see here, you might think opponent's got 2 shields, they need to use them. In fairness, at this point, I should be committing to the Fairy Wind beatdown, and that, again, is a huge mistake, as you're going to see. All we need to do is put them in 1 Bullet Seed range. We're going to sneak the Bullet Seed there. After tanking that Bullet Seed, they're going to be on invisible HP. I had like 10 win cons in that battle. Terrible execution. But as I said, don't play like a potato like Jamie Finn. That was a very winnable game. GG's to that opponent. That was without a doubt the worst GBL match I've played of this season, arguably of all time. So if you want to improve at this game, long before I even made content, I'd always watch back my losses and try and figure out where I went wrong. So in that battle, there was numerous cases where I could have played better. In the next battle, we see Jellicent in the lead. The opponent say switches into Umbreon, which of course isn't a great matchup for them. As they switched out, I anticipated them having Psychic. I attempted to catch the Psychic onto Cradily and ended up catching a last resort, which is even better for me. I kind of understand the opponent's thought process. If you're going to run Galarian Weezing this season, you're probably opting for Brutal Swing and Sludge. So you haven't really got any good way of hitting Dark types for any meaningful damage, at least for your charge moves. Cradily, going to heavily overfarm, fire off the Rock Tomb on the CMP time, maximising my energy. Down goes Umbreon. The opponent's got Mandibuzz. I do pause there, ensuring this Rock Tomb isn't caught onto Jellicent. If they would have switched out, you better believe I'd have been YOLOing that Grass Knot. Lapras kind of has an awkward matchup into the remainder of their team. So up to save Cradily, make the catch onto Lapras, hoping to bait back out this Jellicent, and we do exactly that. Although my charge moves are fully walled, our Psywaves are hitting for neutral, whereas on the Dark type Mandibuzz they would have been double resisted. In this battle, I'm essentially just going to use Lapras as the meat shield. We tank the Shadow Ball. I'm not going to throw this Sparkling Aura. I'm going to try and force the opponent to throw, as I don't want to get fully hexed farm down. We do exactly that. The opponent fire off the Surf, remove me from the field of play. As we save Cradily, I can send back out Cradily. I'm just going to fire off the Rock Tomb. It's neither here nor there for the opponent's shields. They do invest that final Protect shield. They're then going to overfarm, try and catch the Grass Knot onto Mandibuzz, but all they catch is that Rock Tomb. Going to put them in a range where we can Fairy Wind farm them all the way down before they even reach an Aerial Ace. G-Weezy leaves absolutely loaded. Back out comes Jellicent. Good timing, of course. Using a 2-turn move into a 3-turn move is 1, 4 or 7. So I throw the 1 Fairy Wind and the Brutal Swing. No one move will be lethal. We tank the Surf. 1 further Fairy Wind and the next Brutal Swing, and we're going to be able to bounce back with a 2 shield flex. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Guzzlord in the lead. A fantastic lead for me. The opponent say switches into Gator. We're going to go for some chip and dip action. You don't really want to send out Cradily behind on energy, as the opponent has got a pace advantage to that potential super effective Ice Beam. So instead, we're going to send out Lapras and look to use it as the meat shield. Again, as I said in the intro, we're not just going to be showing my wins despite a 14-game win streak. If you're going to lead G-Weezy into Guzzlord, I think you should definitely fight for switch advantage. However, I'm unwilling to do that. I've already made a mistake in this battle as well. I'm going to be quite critical of myself today because, well, it just is what it is, innit? I give everyone else shit. I may as well give myself some. So when you see Gator straight up in the lead, like we saw in a previous battle, I'm going to go for a Brutal Swing and dip. However, if they counter swap, they're going to get a 1-turn swap. So they're going to be 1 turn behind. I can always commit to the Sludge, and Sludge, of course, does a lot more neutral damage overall. One of the main reasons I really need switch advantage, if you're going to lead Guzzlord, it always comes with a poison type, probably Tentacruel in the back, and G-Weezing has a dreadful matchup. Right on cue, there's the Tentacruel, and Brutal Swing, even from a Shadow Galarian Weezing, is such a naff move against a super bulky Pokemon. What's even worse for me is these poison jabs are hitting for neutral, and my Shadow Galarian Weezing isn't all that bulky. As you can tell, they are tearing me apart. You can see I'm attempting to switch, but switch timer simply isn't up. I would have loved to have banked this charge move, but unable to do so. If the opponent's got Blizzard, it's G to the Gs. I'm always no shielding this move, because potential lose con would be shielding an Acid Spray into a Scald, knocking me out. The opponent actually Yoda the Blizzard, and once again, another very poor game played by Jamie Finn. Heading into the next battle, we see Ampharos in the lead. So when you're going to use G-Weezy, if both charge moves hit for neutral, you always want to throw Sludge, as it does objectively more damage. You can see that Sludge actually already rocks them below half health. I'm anticipating them being on Brutal Swing and Trailblaze, so everything should have been resisted, but this opponent actually opted in for the Stab Thunder Punch. We're going to fire off the Brutal Swing, obtain the shield. We attempt to catch a Thunder Punch unsuccessfully, but this isn't enough for a Focus Blast, so Cradily can tank whatever the opponent wishes to throw. The opponent actually YOLO the Thunder Punch, which of course is resisted, as Grass does resist Electric. The next time the opponent recognises their mistake, firing off the Brutal Swing. We're going to throw 2 Bullet Seeds, firing off the Rock Tomb before the next Brutal Swing's reached, enabling us to leave with residual energy good to go. Out comes Decidueye. Decidueye going to be instantly debuffed by this incoming Rock Tomb. Cradily is just such an annoying Pokemon. The opponent then pivots out, attempting a Water Gun snipe with Tapu Fini. We're going to YOLO the Grass Knot. Grass Knot sneaks through the Protect Shield. We pivot out into Lapras, and this game is already over, and the opponent concedes the match. Heading into the next battle, we see big boy Blastoise in the lead. They've even got cool sunglasses. I think Blastoise is a monster this season. As the opponent didn't throw, right when they got the charge move, I'm going to anticipate him looking for good timing, so one rollout and the charge move. Hence we throw one Fairy Wind and catch onto Lapras. Lapras Blastoise, kind of a slightly negative matchup due to the rollouts hitting for super effective. However, they're already severely chipped, so I'm more than happy to bring it in. The opponent farm to a Skull Bash and bait with a Hydro Cannon. Oh, Jamie Finn, what is going on today? You've already thrown 2 battles and now you're shielding baits. Have a word with yourself. Out comes Muck. We're able to force a Protect Shield with the Sparkling Aura, and we're able to outpace the Sparkling Aura, number 2, rocking them to around a half health. The opponent has Poison Jabbed me into range where a Dark Pulse should be picking up the knockout, but this opponent once again gets greedy, firing off the Acid Spray bait, and I certainly am not complaining. Lapras able to reach the next Sparkling Aura. We then make the pivot into Cradily rather than concede a farm down. This is the easiest no-shit of my life. The opponent's already Acid Sprayed me once, and I am not respecting a potential Dark Pulse. The opponent fire off the Acid Spray, enabling me to tank the damage over farm, fire off the Rock Tomb, removing them from the field of play. Water is going to hit me for neutral, and we are debuffed, so I'm more than happy to invest this Protect Shield. The opponent then pivots out into Skeledirge. Skeledirge going to be greeted with the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb will be putting them into a range where Brutal Swing will be lethal. Quick switch back out into Galarian Weezing. Galarian Weezing is a Skeledirge counter confirmed. Blastoise is going to need to clean up. Back out comes Blastoise. We're going to get him with a Sludge to the face. Sludge will be moving Blastoise from the field of play after a little bit of lag, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Decidueye in the lead. Decidueye, one of the Glacier Ghost types, so 2 Brutal Swings. Despite Brutal Swing not being the best move in Ultra League, will be lethal. We're going to throw the correct 7 Fairy Winds and the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing forces the first Protect Shield. The opponent continued to stay in, so we're going to take the initiative and fire off the second Brutal Swing, instantly putting them below half health. Spirit Shackle, not the best charge move, so I'm going to anticipate being able to tank this, and we can. The opponent then attempts to snipe with Lapras. We bank the Brutal Swing for the road and send out Cradily. The opponent farms to a potential Ice Beam, which does take 14 sideways. The opponent fire off the Sparkling Aura bait, but that's fine for me. Grass Knot is going to do more damage, so we are going to fire off the Grass Knot, looking to pick up a knockout. Lapras just about able to survive, but again, this is only a Sparkling Aura, which is going to hit for neutral, and we're able to tank that and Bullet Seed farm down afterwards. Back out comes Decidueye. Decidueye going to be greeted with the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb picks up the opponent's final Protect Shield. We go for the wham bam combo play with that Brutal Swing bank, serving the opponent the Big Mac and the fries. Brutal Swing picks up the knockout, and it's Clefable versus the world. Lapras upper Protect Shield should be more than capable of clean up. I do wait out my timer, enabling me the opportunity to make a catch. The opponent recognise the game's over and concede the match. In the next battle, we see the world's smallest Swampert. We say switch into Lapras, and out comes Dragonite. It's going to take them 14 to the Superpower, 14 to the Ice Beam. We force in the Ice Beam, picking up the one-shot. The opponent looks to call the bait. We don't mess around, cleanly picking up the one-shot. Out comes Skeledirge. Lapras, still not done. Going to fire off the Sparkling Aura, forcing the first Protect Shield of the game. I could shield this charge move, but Lapras has more than done its job, and I've got the correct alignment. The opponent actually fire off Disarming Voice, which isn't lethal. Oh boy, it is all going wrong for this opponent. Sparkling Aura forces the opponent's final protection. They snipe with Swampert, but Swampert about to meet a grass type. Cradily, due to its grass and rock typing, means everything that Swampert learns is going to hit for neutral ground. That poison coverage and water all hit for neutral. We tank the Hydro Cannon, fire off the Grass Knot, picking up the one shot. Back out comes Skeledirge. Skeledirge going to be met with the Rock Tube, and Cradily is going to clean up. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Roserade in the lead. Despite this thing not having a Shadow variant yet, I really want to test this thing out. It looks so much fun now I've got access to Poison Sting. The opponent stays in. Throw the Weatherball Fire on the CMP tile. Weatherball Fire doesn't do too much. This Sludge will do objectively more. Roserade, quite glassy, and I was kind of anticipating a shield. The opponent happy to tank the damage. We then attempt to catch a Weatherball Fire onto Lapras unsuccessfully. The opponent farm up to a potential Leaf Storm, and I'm very glad I didn't look to call any bait. I don't really think there was any reason for the opponent to bait. We correctly shielded up, and out comes Greninja. This is a matchup where you're going to see the difference in stat product. My Sideways are double resisted as Dark, double resist Psychic. The Sparkling Aura also going to be resisted as Water does resist itself, but this is definitely more of a neutral matchup as opposed to an advantageous one for the opponent. 2 resisted Sparkling Aura is enough to knock out in this matchup, which is kind of ridiculous. Greninja is just so bloody glassy. The opponent there went for the Hydro Cannon, perhaps anticipating me looking to make a catch. I've already attempted one catch unsuccessfully. So when resisted, Hydro Cannon does exactly the same as Night Slash, so of course you should always throw Night Slash and fish for that boost. We send back out G-Weezy, go straight for the Sludge, looking to pick up a knockout Sludge, forces the final Protect Shield, and out comes the Panda Bear. The opponent running a very cool Poison Double Dark strategy, but they are core broken to smithereens by Galarian Weezing. We tank the Night Slash, over farm, fire off the Sludge with the Fairy Winds, easily picks up the knockout. We pivot back out into Cradily. Of course, we're never going to shield the first move. In case the opponent get the boost, they fire off the Hydro Cannon. We're going to be able to outpace to the Grass Knot, and Grass Knot is going to be enough to pick up the dub. GG's to that opponent, and very cool team. Heading into the next battle, we see Guzzlord in the lead. Last time I completely threw this matchup, and I'm certainly looking for some redemption. This opponent opting to stay in, which is a very, very questionable play, as these Fairy Winds are hitting for double super effective. We fire off the Sludge. The opponent then pivots out into Blastoise. Again, dreadful fast move timing. I definitely should Sludge here. We're going to fire off the Brutal Swing and then make the pivot into Cradily. The opponent farm up to a potential Ice Beam, and I'm more than happy to respect one. The opponent fire off the Ice Beam. Rock Tomb won't be lethal. Grass Knot will be lethal, but this is an intentional Rock Tomb, as my thought process is I'm going to be able to Bullet Seed farm down, leaving with a whole heap of energy afterwards. Once again, the opponent farm up to an Ice Beam, but after debuff that just doesn't do enough damage. Out comes Typhlosion. We throw the correct 3 Bullet Seeds and the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. We fire off 1 further Bullet Seed and the next Rock Tomb. The opponent very quickly goes from 2 Protect Shields to no Protect Shields to hide behind. I'm actually more than happy to concede a farm down there, ensuring I do not switch lock myself. This Typhlosion is now going to be forced to dump double debuffed energy. Blast Burn, one of the best moves in the game, but you can see after 2 debuffs, Shadow and Shadow Crime, it doesn't even knock out. As we didn't switch lock ourselves, when the opponent go for the combo play, I'm able to catch back onto Galarian Weezing. Dragon Claw double resisted, we fully Fairy Wind farm down. All I've got to do now is ensure I see the Incinerate come through. When I look to throw charge moves, we see the Incinerates go for the correct 2 Fairy Winds and the Sludge. Sludge, to my surprise, isn't quite lethal. We see another Incinerate come through, so we're able to fire off the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing picks up the knockout. Blastoise is so low, the opponent is just going to concede the match. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle. Holy, what spice. And I am so jealous. I still don't have one of these things. I need to find myself a local raid party. The opponent pivots out of this opening matchup into Gator. I've said it time and time again. I think I should always Sludge there, but apparently I'm just a potato and I don't listen to my own advice. Pokemon Go PvP is kind of a game of repetition. So I've previously used G-Weezy in the Ultra League, again in the lead, and whenever Gators used to be switched in, I'd always Brutal Swing and dip, but then I used to have Player Off as my second charge move, so it was the only move I could use to outpace him. Now I've got Sludge, I really need to get my head around throwing bloody Sludges. Here we're only going to reach one move, so I'm going to throw the Ice Beam. Ice Beam does do slightly more damage, but is less energy efficient. We're able to force ourselves a shield advantage. I'm going to send out Cradily and force the opponent to go for the less energy efficient move in Shadow Ball, as Wild Charge would be resisted. The opponent throw the Shadow Ball, they're able to outpace to yet another charge move, and at this point I will start shielding. The opponent go for the Wild Charge, then dip out into Lapras. I'm going to throw the Rock Tomb. We've already seen that one Grass Knot won't be lethal, and we do want to lower their damage output, meaning the Sideways will do less when we eventually make the pivot back into Galarian Weezing. I'm going to invest my final Protect Shield. I'm then going to throw the Grass Knot. Grass Knot won't quite be lethal, but we'll put them in a range where one move from Galarian Weezing will knock out. We bank our residual energy, pivot out into Galarian Weezing. As they're debuffed, no one move will be lethal. The opponent fire off the Sparkling Aura. We're then going to overfarm before the opponent's able to reach another Sparkling Aura. Brutal Swing from this range picks up the knockout. Raichu dumped its energy, so we're able to outpace to the Sludge, and Sludge is going to be all she wrote. GG's to that opponent, and stop flexing your Shadow Raichu. Heading into the next battle. We see Leavanny in the lead, a very cool core breaker in my humble opinion, but very, very poor into Galarian Weezing. The opponent say switch into Blastoise. We go for the correct chip and dip this time, firing off the Sludge and then make the pivot into Lapras. As the opponent got a one-turn switch, I did throw 6 Fairy Winds there, which would usually be alignment, but the opponent is a turn behind, so that is the correct fast move timing. This opponent's actually running Skull Bash. Have a Hydro Cannon still won't be lethal, and we should pick up a knockout with this resisted Sparkling Aura. The opponent desperately looking to flip switch. They attempt the rollout farm down, but Lapras refuses to die, and just like that, we should set up ourselves with a 2-0 shield advantage. The opponent's already revealed Skull Bash and Hydro Cannon. So they haven't got Ice Beam, so we can tank one charge move. However, Blastoise is so incredibly spammy. If they reach a second Hydro Cannon, which they're able to do, I will start to shield here. As the opponent's got Leavanny in the lead, a Grass and Bug type, they're going to be forced to show their third. With no shields to hide behind them, they've got all the energy in the world. Out comes a Alolan Golem. The opponent goes for the show and go, trying to catch the Grass Knot, but all they catch is the Rock Tomb to the face. We're then going to bank the Grass Knot for the end game and send out Weezing, which is going to fully wall this energy. I'm absolutely loving the meta shake-up. People are bringing out all sorts of spice and plenty of cool core breakers, but unfortunately for this opponent at this point, the only win con for them is me dying or having a heart attack. I'm never ever going to shield Galarian Weezing, even if the opponent's able to farm down, leave him with a charge move. I'm just going to save my shield, no one will lose CMP. Rock Blast is such a naff move. The opponent is going to have to either Stone Edge or Wild Charge to pick up a knockout. They go for the Rock Blast. I'm guessing they were looking to roll out farm down, but I'm not going to let that happen. We go for the combo play, fire off the Grass Knot, and take that game. Heading into the next battle. We see Clefable in the lead. The opponent say switches into Gator. Yes, I'm going to say it. Throw a Sludge. Don't Brutal Swing. We fire off the Brutal Swing and then make the pivot into my Lapras. I think it's a testament to this team that I don't think I'm playing particularly optimally, but I'm still able to win 14 games consecutively. We're going to tank both these Hydro Cannons. I'm then going to heavily overfarm, Psywave them into a range where a Sparkling Aura will be picking up the knockout. We're going to leave a whole heap of residual energy good to go as well. Sparkling Aura does pick up that knockout. The opponent actually, to my surprise, don't send out Clefable, instead send out Virizion. We've got Ice Beam, better believe we're yodeling it. Ice Beam sneaks through to Protect Shield. Rather than get farmed down, we pivot back out into Glarian Weezing. The opponent farm up to a potential Stone Edge, potentially the hardest move left in the game. Of course, the opponent could have Meteor Mash, but I think a lot do run Swift and Moonblast. We're able to land the Sludge on the returning Clefable once again. We're not baiting. We're going to fire off yet another Sludge. It looks like the opponent's essentially given up. They tank the Sludge, we Fairy Wind farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we see a battle of buff Fairy types, but a very advantageous lead for me. I'll be honest, I was always thinking the opponent's going to try and make a catch. I'm going to tank any one move, pause a turn, make sure that thing is on my screen. He says that, but it's not on your screen, is it, buddy? As the opponent makes the catch onto Gator. They catch the Sludge, which is the move I probably would have wanted to throw anyway, and we send out Lapras. The opponent's very nicely demonstrated why you should always Sludge and dip as opposed to Brutal Swing and dip, as just look how low they already are. This just means they're very quickly in Sparkling Aura range. We pick up the knockout with that Sparkling Aura. Back out comes Florges. The opponent is going to Trailblaze, but I highly doubt a non-stab Trailblaze picks up the knockout from here. The opponent fire off the Trailblaze, vamping up their attack. Lapras holds strong, fires off yet another Sparkling Aura. To my surprise, forcing the first protection of the game. The opponent looked for the Fairy Wind farm down. Lapras says no, reach another Sparkling Aura, instantly putting them into the red health. A boosted Moonblast would probably knock out Galarian Weezing. I'm actually going to send out Cradily, and I think I should always shield this move. But Cradily, pretty thick, will let the opponent enjoy themselves. Out comes Typhlosion. We're going to fire off the Rock Tomb. A Rock Tomb should be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and it does. I'm going to throw one Bullet Seed, transfer the Incinerate onto Galarian Weezing, and fire off the Sludge. Sludge are going to easily do half their health. The opponent going to farm up 2 double charge moves. We've got 2 shields to hide behind, so of course I'm going to burn them here. The opponent fire off the Thunder Punch. They're able to fire off the next Thunder Punch, winning CMP. We've got that charge move bank. Brutal Swing should probably knock out from here. If it doesn't knock out, the opponent will die to the Fairy Winds afterwards. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down, send back out Florges. Florges gets farmed down. We Fairy Wind farm down Typhlosion and take that game. Heading into the next battle, we found ourselves a huge core breaker. Of course, Armored Mewtwo has been buffed this season, as they do run Dynamic Punch for coverage. We fire off the Brutal Swing, attempt to catch a Side Strike onto Lapras, which is a pretty good start to dealing with this big problem for me. It looks like the opponent doesn't really have a great answer for Lapras. They opt to send out Gator. The opponent fire off the Hydro Cannon. I'm going to farm up, look to bait a potential Skull Bash, and try and get the opponent all shields down. We fire off the Sparkling Aura. Unfortunately, the opponent doesn't bite, taking the bait. But they do overfarm, enabling me to reach one further Sparkling Aura, and I achieve my outcome of getting the opponent all shields down. We've now managed to get ourselves a 2-0 shield advantage, but I am going to respect the potential Ice Beam. The opponent fire off the Ice Beam. As it's Shadow and Shadow Crime, this is only a Hydro Cannon, but I'm more than happy to just keep Cradily as healthy as I physically can. The opponent then pivots back out, not wanting to get farmed down, sending out Mewtwo. We're going to fire off the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to debuff them. We're then going to farm up, go for the CMP sack, which we're able to pull off. Can you believe it? We're like 25 minutes into this video. We played like a potato for the majority of it, but that was a very nice play if I do say so myself. Unfortunately for me, we end up catching the Side Strike and not the Dynamic Punch, but that's neither here nor there. Cradily gets a massive Bullet Seed farm down. Out comes Galarian Weezing. We're going to fire off the Rock Tomb. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have Overheat, then reset their debuff. We're going to instantly debuff them once again, firing off the Rock Tomb, and then it's Moment of Truth time. If the opponent's got Overheat, they win, but this isn't enough for an Overheat. This can only be a Sludge. Sludge hits for neutral and its debuff. We tank the damage, and we're going to fire off the BM Grass Knot. Why? Because why not? GG's that opponent. Heading into the final battle of today's longer video. We see Guzzlord in the lead. I still can't quite believe I threw a Guzzlord lead earlier. The opponent say switch into Shadow Gator. And after 25 minutes, I finally give my head a little wobble. I throw the correct charge move with the Sludge, and then we're going to pivot into Lapras. So if you're wondering why I sound like a broken record, I'm saying you should always Sludge, counter swap Gators. Look how much damage that did. That actually puts them in a range where we can just fully Psy-Away farm them all the way down, which is very, very advantageous for me. Lapras Guzzlord is now kind of a scuffed matchup. When you're on Ice Shard, it was very advantageous, but now you're hitting the double resisted with your quick move. However, as we fully farm down, we're able to land the Ice Beam. We're even able to outpace the Ice Beam at number 2. And let's see if the opponent's willing to shield this matchup. When they already know we've got Galarian Weezing waiting for them, the opponent putting all the hopes and dreams on Dust Noir. Rather than get farmed down, we pivot back out into Galarian Weezing. We fire off the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. This could be a Shadow Ball. If they've got it, they can enjoy themselves. It's just a Shadow Punch, which we're easily able to withstand. I'm actually willing to shield up this next charge move. Looking to get him in a range where a Rock Tomb will be lethal. To do that, we just need to land a Brutal Swing. The opponent actually double shields. We would lose CMP, so again, we're going to commit to good timing. Throwing 4 Fairy Winds and the next Brutal Swing. The opponent definitely now in Rock Tomb range, to be honest. They're in range of any move to knock them out. The opponent overfarm, fire off the Shadow Punch, picking up the knockout. I'm going to send out Cradily. One Dynamic Punch won't be lethal, hence we no shield the first one. The opponent fire off the Dynamic Punch. I'm going to farm up, look to make a catch. The opponent, don't let that happen. They concede the match, and we take that game. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's video. This team performed phenomenally well, able to go 20 wins and 5 losses, including a 14-game win streak. To be honest, I don't think I quite mastered this team particularly well. When I'm watching it back, I saw numerous things I could run better. The main thing that I'm going to keep saying is when people counter swap Gator into your Galarian Weezing lead, throw a bloody Sludge, and do not be a potato like me, throwing a non-stab Brutal Swing. So yeah, if you've got access to this core, I think it's like a cheat code right now. Galarian Weezing and Cradily are both monsters. Lapras, of course, you don't need me to tell you that it's going to be a monstrous pick in Season 22's Go Battle League meta. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. My battle submission form is linked down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.